the experience that we brought in now for the last 15, 16 years and actually develop a new product. It's called uniFLOW Online, but I'm quite, let's say, passionate about saying it's not what other companies do. They just take their on-premise product, put it into a dark data center somewhere in the middle and call it a cloud version. That's not online. That's hosting. That's something completely different. So what we basically said is that, all right, let's look at this. Let's look at what the requirements are and develop a new product, also with the absolute latest technologies. Now, obviously, you know uniFLOW with functionality like secure printing and accounting and authentication, and obviously that's all part of uniFLOW Online as well. The main thing is you don't need a print server, quite obviously. So the functionality of uniFLOW exists inside the cloud service, combined with what we can do on-premise at the customer side, like software inside the devices, but also what we call the smart client or the super driver, where we have more functionality actually brought to the desktop. I founded NT-ware in Germany back in '98 and really created it as an independent software company, developing software. I personally come out of the printing industry. My great-grandfather starting an offset print shop in the 1800s. We still have the old wooden letters in the house. So when I decided to go into software development, it was quite natural to stay in printing because I don't smell printing ink, because we lived above the print shop. So yeah, I kind of feel part of the industry, even though I decided to develop software. Now, through several projects, I got to know Canon in Germany back then, and to make a long story short, 2006, I decided to sell part of my shares to Canon. So that since 2006, we are part of the Canon family of companies. And that really allowed us to grow the company now to over 130 employees worldwide. Well, the nice story about this is that we are not division 51 of Canon engineering, because Canon has thousands and thousands of developers. But the great thing was that Canon at that time decided, let's keep the company NT-ware at arm's length. It's a small company, small structures, they're implementing the software in a very flexible manner. They're able to adhere to customer demands, answer to customer requests. And this is really interesting for Canon as an organization. And that's something that I'm very proud of, is that this original startup spirit that we have in the company is still there. So when I today hire people, I always give a nice story about, well, with us you get the best of both worlds. You get a startup company, very small hierarchies. The boss is still doing software development from time to time, if time permits. On the other hand, you don't have the negatives of a startup, which means you don't have any big background. So the fantastic thing for us is we have a strong Canon company in the background, yet we are able to be an agile software development company. So it's really great. Obviously, by growing NT-ware into a worldwide organization, we have offices in Germany, in Melville, actually down the road, Singapore, and in Tokyo. We have employees all the way down to Australia. This means we have relationships with the Canon organization in every single world region. And what's especially fantastic is we have a very close R&D relationship with Canon in Tokyo. Because one of the key points that customers really expect is that the uniFLOW product, the uniFLOW software, works seamlessly with Canon devices. And how to achieve that? Well, by having the engineers of both companies talk together, so we know what kind of technologies are coming in the upcoming years, so we can make sure uniFLOW already has a module or has functionality specifically for a new generation of devices. So that's really exciting, to be honest. All right, it's a lot of fun to run the company when you look at the numbers. This is our worldwide revenue figures. We are still enjoying tremendous growth. What makes me particularly happy is that in the last 4 or 5 years, Canon USA and the Americas really have become the growth engine for NT-ware. So yes, we have long-standing business in Europe, but the way Canon USA, the independent dealers, CSA, have been able to increase the sales and basically adopt uniFLOW as a core part of the business is really completely exciting for me. And as you basically can see that from the numbers, I think last year we grew in the Americas by almost 40%, and that's a very nice growth rate, I have to say. All right, let's look a little bit at our one and only product, uniFLOW. Again, uniFLOW is the main thing we are concentrating on. As you may know, I mean, Leo has made a good description, and Tom as well, is there are a number of aspects that customers can really benefit from our solution, such as obviously getting visibility into the printing activity, thus making the right choices for reducing the print cost. We talked about secure printing. This is certainly something. I have another example of what we can do with security later on. Employee productivity, a single print queue. I mean, imagine you're in a big organization, you have no idea, you're on the 3rd floor, what's the printer queue called that you currently can get your job from. Secure printing, follow me, you don't have to worry about it. Just hit file print. There is one printer driver for all the devices, all the models, all the manufacturers. Just get your document. So I kind of always like to say, we take the hassle and all the technical details out of the printing structure. Environmental performance, we've talked previously, I think I heard that 1,000 trees are being saved. I think that's a nice, interesting one by, for example, forcing simplex pages, duplex pages, but that's a good example. But ultimately, what uniFLOW obviously helps you with is to understand what kind of documents are printed on what type of devices, such that this helps you to optimize your printing fleet. So you have the right jobs at the right device, running the right devices at a good capacity. Okay, what makes uniFLOW unique? Leo already brought that. It's the one platform message. So inside the company, we're developing uniFLOW as one product. And kind of to answer to what Leo has mentioned, we have 8 modules, or 9 modules, or 10 modules. Actually, we don't really have them. Sorry to break that news. They are just a marketing gag, I would say. We just needed a way to price the product. But technically speaking, there aren't any modules. It's one product, and we can just turn off functionality. Now it's great, as you have mentioned, it's from a development point of view, it's fantastic because we worry about the integration. Because for us, it's one big software. You have the same user for printing, you have the same user for scanning, the same user can do copies, the same user can do rule-based routing. It's in one product. So for us, it's really something that we still see, and I don't really know why, but we still see that to be a very unique point in the industry. Don't know why nobody is following us on that road, but that's certainly one of the biggest parts. What's in it for the customer? Obviously, if you have one supplier to talk to for both your hardware and your software, it takes the complete hassle away for the customer as well. I mean, we all know in the IT business, if something goes wrong and you have 10 different suppliers, you can say finger pointing. We call it in Germany the hot potato game. Nobody wants to own the problem. In this scenario, it's very simple because there is one supplier, Canon, and we, within the Canon organization, figure out, is it a device firmware, is it a software issue, is it a network issue, and so on. So that really gives a very good advantage to the customer because he has a strong partner to rely on to make sure it gets a reliable system. As I mentioned before, as part of the one platform message, it means that the same system, the same servers, the same network, the same card authentication can be used for different features like scanning and printing, rule-based routing, and so on. So you do not need to invest into duplicate systems, have 2 servers or 3 servers for 3 different solutions. So it's really a nice thing, both from a device perspective, but also from a hardware perspective.